All right, let's get right into it, because the title here, The Strategic Advantage of Looking Poor, it sounds completely backwards, right? In a world that is obsessed with showing off, we're going to break down why one of the smartest things you can do with your money is to, well, look like you don't have much of it. And this isn't about being cheap or sacrificing everything. It's about playing a totally different and, frankly, much smarter game.
So, first you've got to see the bizarre situation we're all in. On the one hand, sales for luxury goods are hitting all-time highs. But on the other hand, about a quarter of households are literally living paycheck to paycheck. This just exposes this huge illusion in our culture. We are performing wealth, we're putting on a show, while the quiet reality for millions is genuine financial stress.
And that brings us to the big, central question for this whole explainer. It's a little uncomfortable, but it's so important. What if the very act of trying to look successful is the number one thing that's actually preventing you from becoming financially secure? Let's dig into that.
To really get this, we have to pull apart two ideas that everybody confuses: income and wealth. You can have someone earning a massive salary, say $150,000 a year, but if they're spending $145,000 of it, they are one car repair away from a total disaster. See, real wealth isn't about what you make. It is all about the gap between what you make and what you spend. It's the money you get to keep.
Okay, so what are the actual benefits of stepping off this treadmill of constantly trying to impress people? Well, the first one, and probably the one you'll feel the fastest, is that it just dramatically simplifies your entire financial life.
And this is where the numbers start to get a little scary. Let's take a $60,000 SUV. Now, that sticker price, that's just the down payment on the real cost. Over 5 years, once you add up the loan interest, the higher insurance costs, the premium gas it needs, and you know there are going to be some expensive repairs, that vehicle has actually cost you $90,000. That's an extra 30 grand that just, poof, vanished, instead of being put to work for you.
You know, this is not a new problem at all. There's this great story about an 18th century philosopher, Denis Diderot. He gets this one really beautiful, elegant robe as a gift, and suddenly everything else he owns looks kind of shabby next to it. So he feels this pressure to upgrade everything else, his chair, his desk, the whole shebang, and he ends up spiraling into debt. And that little story leads us to a really powerful psychological trap.
This is what's known as the Diderot effect. And you felt this before, for sure. It's when you buy a new phone, and then all of a sudden your old headphones seem terrible and your laptop looks ancient. That one single purchase kicks off a whole cascade of new desires, and it keeps resetting your baseline for what feels normal. It's a very expensive cycle of upgrades that's designed to keep you spending.
So that spiral of consumption leads us directly to reason number 2. When you adopt a more modest lifestyle, you learn how to sidestep all of the sophisticated traps that are built to make you spend more.
And make no mistake, the modern economy is basically a spending gauntlet. Marketers are using behavioral psychology against you to create a fake sense of urgency. You've got subscription creep, right? Where dozens of tiny little monthly fees quietly suck hundreds of dollars out of your account. Buy now, pay later has become totally normalized, making huge purchases feel small and harmless. The whole system is engineered to separate you from your money.
So what's the way out? Let's just run a quick thought experiment. The average person spends around $200 a month on stuff they don't really need. Impulse buys, coffees, you know the drill. What would happen if you just captured that money and put it to work instead? Well, the result is pretty mind-blowing. That small amount, that $200 a month, invested consistently for 20 years, could grow to nearly $118,000. This is the absolute magic of compounding, and it's a force that is always working. It's either working for you or it's working against you. There's really no middle ground.
And this all points to a really fundamental shift in your mindset. Truly wealthy people don't see their dollars as just things to spend. They see every single dollar as an employee. And every dollar is a little worker that you can send out into the world to earn more money for you. Spending kills your workforce, investing grows it.
All right, so let's get to reason number 3. This one moves beyond the bank account and into our relationships. Living more modestly helps you build connections with people that are actually genuine and real.
You ever feel that pressure to keep up with your friends? That has a name. It's called spending contagion. If everybody in your friend group is going on these expensive vacations or eating out at fancy restaurants all the time, there's this unspoken pressure to do the same thing, or you might feel left out. It is a really powerful social force that can just quietly destroy your financial goals.
This is exactly why setting some financial boundaries is so incredibly powerful. Think of it like a diagnostic tool for your relationships. The minute you're honest about your budget, you very quickly find out who in your life is there for you and who's just there for the lifestyle that you represent.
And that leads perfectly into our fourth reason. Finding a type of happiness that's more durable, more genuine, and not based on the temporary buzz you get from buying something new.
Psychologists have a term for why that joy from a new purchase fades away so fast. It's called hedonic adaptation. Basically, we humans are just amazing at getting used to things. That new car feels incredible for about a week, and then it's just your car. Your brain adapts, your happiness level goes right back to where it started, and now you're looking for the next purchase to get that feeling back again.
So, if buying more stuff isn't the answer, what is? Well, the research on life satisfaction is crystal clear. Lasting well-being comes from things like our health, having a sense of purpose, feeling in control of our lives, autonomy, having strong connections with others, and choosing to spend money on experiences instead of just possessions. You notice what's not on that list? A fancy watch or a designer handbag.
And that brings us to our fifth and final reason. And honestly, this is the grand prize: unlocking true financial freedom. This is where the math gets really, really exciting.
The path to financial independence can actually be surprisingly simple. There's a guideline called the 4% rule. Here's how it works. Step 1, figure out how much money you'd ideally want to live on each year. Step 2, take that number and multiply it by 25. And that's it. That's your freedom number. That's the amount you need to have invested to get to the point where work becomes a choice, not a command.
And this really gets to the heart of everything we've talked about. Your savings rate, the percentage of your income you actually keep, is so much more important than how much you earn. Someone saving half of a modest income is going to reach financial freedom decades before someone saving just 10% of a giant one. Frugality isn't about depriving yourself, it is the single most powerful financial tool you have.
So what does all of this buy you in the end? It buys you the single most valuable asset on planet Earth: time ownership. It's the freedom to decide what you do with your days. It's waking up in the morning and working on something because you want to, not because you have to. That right there is the true definition of being rich.
I just want to leave you with this one final thought. Real wealth is silent. It doesn't scream for attention. It's not flashy. It sits there quietly in boring index funds, growing and compounding year after year, totally secure. So looking poor, or rather choosing to live modestly, it's not a sacrifice. It's the ultimate strategy for building a life of real, unshakable freedom.